Welcome to Just a Minute. Hello, my name is Nicholas Parsons. And as the minute waltz fades away, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this special edition of Just a Minute from BBC Television Centre. We found our way onto your television screens to celebrate the 45th year of radio triumph. So without further ado, please welcome to the show the four talented, exceptional performers who this day are going to play Just a Minute. And they are seated on my right, Paul Merton and Lisa Tarbuck, and seated on my left, Miles Jupp and Giles Brandreth. Please welcome all four of them. The players will try to speak for just a minute on a subject that I give them, and they will try and do that without hesitation, repetition or deviation. The other three panellists can challenge at any time, and if I uphold the challenge, they gain a point and take over the subject. If not, the person speaking gains a point and continues with the subject. And by the way, they can repeat the subject, which is on the card in front of me. Paul, the subject here is double acts. I know you love the music hall and everything about that, but can you tell us something about that subject in this game? 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
I think one of my proudest nights in show business occurred here at the Television Centre perhaps 2 years ago, when I was very lucky to present a programme about Morecambe and Wise, who are undoubtedly for many of us the greatest double act that ever lived. And the audience's appreciation of Eric and Ernie that night was phenomenal. As I said the goodbyes at the end of the show, they rose as one and clapped and applauded, and the warmth of that particular noise they were making was clearly not for me, but it was for the two M&W people I mentioned earlier. They were...
Giles is challenged.
A repetition of two.
Yes, there's two there, you know. Oh.
We haunted.
No, you struggle so well to change and find different words to express the same thing. So, Giles, it was 32 seconds, but there are 28 seconds left. You have a correct challenge. You gain a point for that, of course. Double acts starting now.
I'm turning my mind to romantic double acts, thinking of Abelard and Eloise, Romeo, Juliet, Antony, Cleopatra, Andy Pandy, Looby Loo, and more recently, Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. The erotic charge, when characters like this come together and consummate their union, make something of a double act.
A cool challenge.
Are you saying Andy Pandy and Looby Loo consummated a union?
Oh, yes!
What's Teddy doing round the back, making a cup of tea? What's going on?
Teddy took the photographs. That's how I know.
Scandal.
Oh.
I think in the literal interpretation of the words he was using, you are perfectly correct, Paul.
Yes.
So, a correct challenge, and you have 12 seconds still on double acts starting now.
David Cameron and the leader of the Liberal Party, whose name nobody can remember, are currently forming a double act which is known as the Coalition, which is running this country even as I speak. Would it be possible for us to look at a past... I didn't know what I was going to say after that.
So that whistle tells us that 60 seconds have elapsed, and whoever's speaking then gains that extra point, and it was Paul Merton. So you won't be surprised to know that he's in the lead at the end of that round. Miles Jupp, will you begin the next round? And the subject is bowling a maiden over. 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
Bowling a maiden over is a specific cricket term which does not apply to the act of throwing a ball so that it actually fells a lady, nor does it refer to the idea of actually delivering a late...
Giles challenge.
Repetition of actually.
Actually, yes.
Oh, harsh challenge.
Well, little ungentlemanly, I thought, Giles.
I agree.
I would say, Miles.
Not quite cricket.
Giles, the correct challenge.
How many seconds did I manage? Just out of,
You
just
had
out of my
11? 11 seconds?
11, that is... Well, that's a cricketing number. I'm happy with that.
Yes,
Yep.
that's right. But
You
Giles,
go,
you've got 49 seconds on bowling a maiden over, starting now.
When I was a member of the House of Commons cricket team, Anne Widdecombe, that interesting cross between Danny DeVito and Margaret Rutherford, was our wicket-keeper. And I'm proud to say that I actually successfully bowled this maiden over. She fell splat, and that wonderful, amusing, slightly lopsided bosom of hers lay upon the ground. And my ball landed right between the crevice. It was an exciting moment for both of us. Not since Anton had swept her off her feet, taken her over his shoulder out to the green room, had I had such an exciting moment with a beautiful lady as it was that particular day.
Miles' challenge.
Deviation, I think, because the
No,
idea...
he didn't get that far. It crossed my mind, but I held back.
I imagine it was very high on your to-do list, Giles. No, when you say since Anton, of course, that is more recent than that Anton was sweeping her around than you, I believe, held a place in the House of Commons, which was when I was probably a teenager or younger.
That's my kind of challenge, and I rather admire it. I've been looking at you, thinking, actually, look a little... could you be my love child? I mean, you sound like me, you look like me, and now you think like me. Give him the point.
Get yourself a good lawyer.
Giles, I was going to give him a point anyway.
Yeah,
I don't think you should now run the show as well.
No,
as take part in it.
I won't say another word. I'm just going to sit back and watch my boy having a good time.
So,
I don't think it's fair to expect me to speak. I'm very flustered.
Miles, you only have 14 seconds available. You've got a point, of course, and bowling a maiden over starting now.
It used to be the case that bowling a maiden over was something that required skill alone. Now, of course, you can ring someone you know in the team and demand that they bowl a maiden over.
Challenge, yes.
Oh, it's a bit slip over the word, sadly.
Yeah, it was hesitation.
I didn't think there was. I thought it was fluent. Extraordinary panache he's speaking with.
Who will you adopt in the next round? Correct challenge, Paul. You have a point for that. You have 5 seconds still available. Bowling a maiden over starting now.
Although I never played cricket at school, I soon became a fan. I remember seeing the Oval for the first time. Ooh, that was close.
Paul Merton was then speaking as a whistle when gained that extra point. And Lisa, we'd like you to begin the next round.
OK.
And this subject can be taken more than one way. I'm a bit nervous about it, actually. Cobblers. So when you talk on the subject of cobblers, 60 seconds starting now.
There's nothing I like better than a man with a couple of skills. One of them I'm a fan of is, of course, cobbling. Up by me in the Arsenal area of London, and I did move there for the gag, there's a cobbler's who provides me with such glorious services that he has my undying love forever. Last year, he lengthened the strap on my handbag and has made what was quite an unusual form of carrying stuff in, a papoose type thing, which, incidentally, I'd bought in Lisbon, just to be flash. He made that absolute... Oh, I said he made.
Giles is challenged.
Hesitation.
Yeah, but that's only because you repeated something.
Yeah,
oh, darling, you shouldn't have let them know.
I know, I shouldn't, but my mind went into some sort of 60s dream sequence.
I know. And you carried us with you. Right, Giles, a correct challenge, so you have the subject of cobblers, 23 seconds, and starting now.
As Miles could probably tell you, our family comes from Accrington in Lancashire, where in that part of the world we have...
Miles, challenge.
I have no connections to the north of England.
My point, I was talking cobblers.
Oh, you wriggle on anything, wouldn't you? Right, so...
Would he?
Miles, a correct challenge. Well listened, and a lovely interruption too. And you have the subject of cobblers. 18 seconds are still available, starting now.
Cobblers is the nickname of the football team in Northampton because that is a town that is associated with the art of shoemaking. I was there doing a play once and bought myself a spectacular pair of Henry boots, which, as you know, are a kind of elasticated Henry, Giles.
Paul challenge.
Repetition of Henry.
Henry, yes. You shouldn't play to your father-in-law there. Correct challenge, Henry. Right. 3 seconds on cobblers, Paul, starting now.
I watched a programme the other day about shoemaking. It was called Ultimate Cobblers, and it was the first person to be
Paul Merton was then speaking as the whistle went again. That extra point, he's now in the lead, a strong lead, just ahead of Giles, Brandreth and Miles Jupp and Lisa Tarbuck in that order. And Giles, we're back with you to begin. Oh, a nice historical question here. The wives of Henry VIII. Tell us something about them, starting now.
Well, this really is quite a challenge, Nicholas, because I recall that King Henry VIII had 6 wives, but repetition was certainly involved, because at least 2 of them had the same name. Catherine cannot now be repeated, unless I call her Kate. I love...
You needn't look like that, Giles. We all know the challenge.
Repetition of ha.
Ha.
One was spelled H-U-H and the other U-H. Yeah. But I agree, I'd take it.
I know, but it sounded exactly
If
the
it was
same.
my boy who interrupted, then well done him.
No, it wasn't. It was Paul Merton.
Oh.
Right.
I'm afraid I've never been formally recognised by Giles.
You claim parentage to anybody to get a point. So, no. Ha-ha,
That's
correct.
it.
So, Paul, a correct challenge, and you have the wives of Henry VIII. There are 45 seconds starting now.
The wives of Henry VIII. Let's go through them one by individual. There was, of course, Catherine of Aragon. I think, as the name suggests, she was probably from somewhere in Spain. And then who should come next along the line? It was none other than Anne Boleyn. Famously, she didn't have a complete set of fingers and thumbs, or was it one too many? I can't remember. I've said 1 3 times.
These are challenge.
I think you're thinking of Queen Elizabeth, aren't you, with the extra finger?
Didn't Anne Boleyn have an extra finger?
Anne Boleyn had an extra one.
Yeah, she had an extra finger.
Extra little finger.
Yeah.
Did she? Like
Yeah.
Jake the Peg?
Yeah.
Did she?
Yeah. We wouldn't be talking about it otherwise.
So have you got a challenge within the rules of Just a Minute?
Well, I thought it was deviation, which in fact it is, strictly speaking. But
It's a devious-
I'll have to pass, won't I?
You'll have to pass, darling.
Yeah.
Paul has another point, and he has 25 seconds to continue on the wives of Henry VIII, starting now.
I remember very well the television programme that was made in the early 1970s, perhaps with Keith Michelle as King Henry VIII. And what a magnificent performance it was. Each one of his wives throughout the entire 6 episodes had a programme devoted to themselves. I think we've already talked about the first 2, which gives me the opportunity to mention 3, 4, 5 and 6.
And Lisa, you chant.
Repetition of 6.
Yes, you're right. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, listen, Lisa, and you've cleverly got in with 1 second to go.
After I went through all that rubbish for no reason at all.
You worked hard all the way through, and Lisa's got in 1 second. The wives of Henry VIII, Lisa, starting now.
At Hampton Court, the most...
So Lisa Tarbuck was speaking, then Larissa Wendt gained that extra point, and she's moved forward. She's equal in points with Miles Jupp in 3rd place, but only 1 point behind Giles Brandreth, 2 or 3 behind Paul Merton. But the points, I think, are only secondary. It's the fun they give, isn't it? Oh, what a weak laugh that was. I wish I hadn't said it. Paul, we'd like you to begin the next round. The subject is, what a strange one, having a good time in the desert. Think of something to say if you can. 60 seconds starting now.
Many years ago, I was at the Edinburgh Festival and a gentleman came up to me and said, I heard you on Just a Minute during the summer. I didn't think that was particularly remarkable. And then he said, I was crossing the Gobi Desert in a Jeep and he'd listened via the World Service. Now, of course, we are not on that august institution, but you can still, in the desert, make a great deal of fun. Befriend a vulture. That's what they're there for. They may look upon you as potential carry-on, but I say carry on regardless. You shouldn't let them see you that way. What are you groaning now? I'm making it off the top of my head, for God's sake. Oh, I should have said that, shouldn't I? They put me off.
Lisa, you chant.
I was just helping them out while the audience were putting Mr. Merton off.
Yeah.
So hesitation. Right, Lisa.
Hesitation.
Yeah.
Correct challenge, and you have 29 seconds. Having a good time in the desert, starting now.
I was enjoying a programme with Mr. Bear Grylls on it the other day, who was having a wonderful time in the desert. He started his search, or in fact journey, looking for some water. And as he went, he distilled all sorts of skills to the viewer, one of which was sucking the moisture out of a lizard, which he'd bitten the head off. Now, I'm not a great advocate of this sort of behaviour, least of all going back to the hamster with Freddie Starr. That was a nasty moment.
Welcome to Just a Minute. cast. And as the minute waltz fades away, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to this special edition of Just a Minute from BBC Television Centre. We found our way onto your television screens to celebrate the 45th year of radio triumph. So without further ado, please welcome to the show the four talented, exceptional performers who this day are going to play Just a Minute. And they are seated on my right, Paul Merton and Lisa Tarbuck, and seated on my left, Miles Jupp and Giles Brandreth. Please welcome all four of them. The players will try to speak for just a minute on a subject that I give them, and they will try and do that without hesitation, repetition or deviation. The other three panellists can challenge at any time, and if I uphold the challenge, they gain a point and take over the subject. If not, the person speaking gains a point and continues with the subject. And by the way, they can repeat the subject which is on the card in front of me. Paul, the subject here is double acts. I know you love the music hall and everything about that, but can you tell us something about that subject in this game? 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
I think one of my proudest nights in show business occurred here at the Television Centre perhaps 2 years ago when I was very lucky to present a programme about Morecambe and Wise, who are undoubtedly for many of us the greatest double act that ever lived. And the audience's appreciation of Eric and Ernie that night was phenomenal. As I said the goodbyes at the end of the show, they rose as one and clapped and applauded, and the warmth of that particular noise they were making was clearly not for me, but it was for the two M&W people I mentioned earlier. They were...
Giles is challenged.
Repetition of two.
Yes, there's two there, you know. Oh.
We haunted.
No, you struggle so well to change and find different words to express the same thing. So, Giles, it was 32 seconds, so with the 28 seconds left, you have a correct challenge. You gain a point for that, of course. Double acts starting now.
I'm turning my mind to romantic double acts, thinking of Abelard and Eloise, Romeo, Juliet, Antony, Cleopatra, Andy, Pandy, Looby Loo, and more recently, Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. The erotic charge, when characters like this come together and consummate their union, make something of a double act.
A cool challenge.
Are you saying Andy Pandy and Looby Loo consummated a union?
Oh, yes!
What's Teddy doing round the back, making a cup of tea? What's going on?
Teddy took the photographs. That's how I know.